In 1945, World War II ended, but Europe was left in ruins. Cities shattered, millions dead or displaced. The alliance that defeated Nazi Germany was uneasy, a temporary union of opposites. On one side, the United States, strong and untouched, championing democracy and capitalism. On the other, the Soviet Union, devastated but powerful, determined to secure its borders with a buffer of communist states. At Yalta and Potsdam, leaders drew new borders, but trust was already eroding. The West wanted free elections and open markets, Stalin wanted control and security. This clash of ideologies, freedom versus control, would define the coming era. Americans feared communism, Soviets feared Western aggression. Former allies became rivals, and the peace was uneasy. The world was no longer united. It was the dawn of the Cold War. The division of Europe deepened as Soviet-backed regimes took hold in Eastern Europe. Churchill called it the Iron Curtain, a continent split in two. The US responded with the Truman Doctrine and Marshall Plan, aiming to contain communism and rebuild Western Europe. The first major test came in Berlin, a city divided deep in Soviet territory. In 1948, Stalin blockaded West Berlin, hoping to force the Allies out. Instead, the Berlin airlift began. American and British planes supplied the city for nearly a year. Stalin relented. The blockade failed. The crisis cemented the split. Germany became two nations, and the Iron Curtain was now a fortified reality. The Cold War was no longer just an idea, it was a lived experience. The world watched as two superpowers faced off, each unwilling to back down. The stakes had never been higher. The lines were drawn. The Cold War had truly begun. The Cold War turned hot in Korea, where North and South fought a brutal, inconclusive war. The conflict globalized the struggle between communism and capitalism. The nuclear arms race accelerated. Both sides built ever more powerful weapons. The doctrine of mutually assured destruction, MAD, kept the world in check, but fear was constant. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. For 13 days, Kennedy and Khrushchev faced off. The world held its breath. Diplomacy prevailed. Missiles were withdrawn, and catastrophe was averted. A hotline was installed between Washington and Moscow to prevent future crises. The memory of near annihilation made both sides more cautious. The Cold War would continue, but the threat of instant destruction was now real to all. The world had changed forever. Every move was a gamble. Survival depended on restraint. The Cold War was also a contest of ideas and technology. The Soviets launched Sputnik, shocking the world and igniting the space race. Early Soviet triumphs, first animal, first human in space, challenged American pride. Kennedy vowed to land a man on the moon, turning space into a stage for superpower rivalry. On Earth, propaganda wars raged. The West promoted freedom and prosperity. The East promised equality and security. Radio, music, and culture became weapons. Blue jeans and jazz symbolized rebellion behind the Iron Curtain. Both sides courted the developing world, offering competing visions for the future. The Cold War was fought not just with bombs but with dreams and ideals. The battle for hearts and minds was as fierce as any arms race. The world watched and chose sides. By the 1980s, the Soviet Union was faltering. Its economy strained, its people restless. Mikhail Gorbachev's reforms, Glasnost and Perestroika, unleashed demands for change across Eastern Europe. Gorbachev refused to use force to maintain control. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell as crowds surged through, ending decades of division. Communist regimes collapsed in a wave of mostly peaceful revolutions. The Soviet Union itself unraveled. Republics declared independence. In 1991, the USSR dissolved. Its red flag lowered for the last time. The Cold War was over. The world was transformed, but its legacy endures. New alliances, old mistrust, and the memory of a divided world still shape our lives. The Cold War's shadow remains.